Boa tarde, pessoal. Sejam todos bem-vindos a mais uma sessão do EducationUSA, a fonte oficial de informações sobre educação superior nos Estados Unidos. Eu me chamo Fernanda, sou orientadora do EducationUSA aqui na PUC-Rio e tenho o prazer de estar com os meus colegas aqui da University of Florida, University of Missouri, Wisconsin-Madison, Colorado-Boulder e University of Oregon. E eles vão falar um pouco sobre encontrar a universidade que seja mais adequada para vocês. Eu imagino que a maioria aqui fala inglês, mas quem não falar não tem o menor problema. Por favor, coloque sua pergunta em português no chat e eu ajudo vocês a se colocarem e a se comunicarem com o Admissions Officer que vocês quiserem. Para quem quiser também, essa sessão vai ser gravada e vai ser colocada no nosso canal do YouTube hoje ainda, tá? Tenham todos uma ótima sessão, é um prazer enorme ter todos aqui. Peço que, por favor, quem não estiver falando no momento, desligue suas câmeras e o seu microfone, tá bom? Muito obrigada e tenham uma ótima sessão. Guys, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We're really excited to talk to you today about higher education in the US, and we are 5 large public state universities here, have our own kind of unique fit and stuff in higher ed, but throughout the US as a whole, there's lots of similarities. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about choosing your major and tips for kind of figuring out what your passion is, as well as how you then can do that research at universities in the US. So I will just dive right in with some introductions. So to start off, my name is Sam Thompson. I'm the International Recruitment Coordinator at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, located in Madison, Wisconsin. I'll kick it off to Aisha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Wong, and I'm an Assistant Director of Admission at the University of Florida, which is located in beautiful Gainesville, Florida.
Hello, my name is Shannon O'Hagan, and I represent the University of Missouri, which is located in Columbia, Missouri.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Kim, and I am at the University of Colorado-Boulder, which is located in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Lorenzo Wilcox. I'm an international missions counselor at the University of Oregon, and we're located in the city of Eugene, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest of the US. And if we go to the next slide, I can just tell you briefly why we've all decided to come together and present to you on this particular topic. And while you might be finding out that we're definitely very different with just where we are located and other things like that, we share a lot of things in common as well. And some of these things are, first of all, we all happen to represent the flagship universities of our states. And so flagship institutions are usually those that are probably the most well-known of a particular region or state, usually the ones with the highest research profiles. And you'll definitely hear us talk a little bit about research when we introduce our institutions. We are all, tier 1 research institutions. And that is something that we really incorporate in our education, is giving students that opportunity for hands-on learning, for experiential learning, and just to get that experience outside of the classroom related to their field. So with that, we are also part of the Association of American Universities. It's a highly select group of 65 institutions in the US and Canada. About half of the universities in this association are public institutions, and we represent 5 of those. And so this is just, to let you know that we definitely focus a lot on research, and we have high academic standards and highly ranked academic programs. And finally, we all have Division I athletic programs on our campuses. Division I is the highest level of, college sport competition in the US. You can usually obtain scholarships, based on your athletic performance and things like that. So these are just a few things that we share in common. And just to give you an idea of why we've come together to present to you today. On the next slide, I can get us started with our main topic for today, which is learning about majors, how to choose a major, what your college degree might look like here in the US based on the higher education system that we have. So on the next slide, we can kind of start with just defining these terms that you might have heard already, major, minor, certificates, and to give you an idea of what that timeline might look like here at a U.S. university of when you have to select or declare a major. So just briefly, a major is your primary area of study. So it's, you know, your career focus, basically, right? So it's easier for me to give you an idea of what I did. So for me, for example, I majored in international relations, but I minored in political science. And so while those two programs might overlap, you know, my primary focus as a career was something to do with international relations, right? So hopefully that makes a little sense of what a major and a minor is. You can usually, you know, your minor would be a secondary area. It's like a supplement. It's like an additional field that you might be interested in, but you know, you can use to help your main career, right? So if you're interested in business, but you want to minor in economics as well, you would have kind of both, you know, both types of courses, and you would have knowledge in both fields. But what you would do as a career would probably be something more directly related to business. So hopefully that makes sense. But again, you can always double major. You can always double major and add a minor on top of that. You can even add certificate programs, which are usually require less coursework to complete, but it's just to get knowledge about a specific thing, right? Like international business and sustainability, or, you know, something like that. It's a very specific program that you can add to any major. But a key distinction to make is that you will always need to choose a major. So you will always need to have that for sure. But from there, you can always add, you know, a second major to that, or again, you know, a minor or a combination of different programs.
Okay?
Oops, sorry about that. But so just to give you a brief, you know, timeline, because a lot of students actually, you know, think that they need to know what they want to study when they're first going to apply to a university. For some institutions or for some programs that might be true, but the majority of institutions in the US allow you a lot of flexibility. Allow you a lot of flexibility to kind of go through the process and explore various, you know, courses or disciplines. Now, if you already know what you want to study, then that's great. You know, by all means, select that on your application for admission. But if you don't, you would be what we consider, you know, a student who is exploring. And that's actually, you know, more and more appearing on an application as your area of focus or major interest. And so it's totally fine to declare, you know, as an undecided student, because maybe there's a few things that you're interested in and that you want to find out if you do like it enough to go ahead and pursue a career in it. And so just to give a brief idea, you know, we usually recommend students choose a major or declare, you know, what they want their career to be by the end of their second year in college, right? So all the bachelor's degrees here will be about 4 years. And so we definitely want you to explore those courses in the first couple of years, see what you like, see what you don't. But at the end of the second year, we recommend that you choose, you know, what you want to study in and what you want to major in, so that you can graduate in 4 years with that degree. All right. And so that you don't have to add more time. Now, it's very common to change your major. I changed mine for the last time in my junior year. So that's your third year of college. And I still graduated on time. So if you work with your academic advisors, you can usually, you know, make all of those things work and make sure that you're studying what it is that you want to study and what you want to do later on. So just know that you have that flexibility. If you don't know what you want to study right now, don't worry about it. Don't feel pressured to select something, but just know that you can always take that first and second year to explore various areas and see where you want to go from there. But we can go to the next slide and I can talk about curriculum and credit hours. So your degrees, you know, you will be required to obtain a certain number of credits, or I guess, yeah, I mean, credits is tough to explain, but it's, you know, an academic unit. You know, you might hear you need, like the chart says, 120 credit hours to get a bachelor's from a semester school. If you're like the U of O, we do have a quarter system here. So it's roughly 180 credits, but it's still the same. It's what you would need to complete in 4 years to obtain that degree. And basically, you know, a credit hour is an academic unit. It relates to the amount of class hours that you would have each week, right? So a lot of classes in a quarter system, it's usually 4 credits each. So you would usually go to a lecture class or a discussion for 4 hours each week and go from there. So that is how you would earn credits each term. It's often used to calculate tuition as well. You know, tuition can vary because maybe one term you will take 16 credits, the other term you will take 14. So it can vary a little bit based on that particular number and what you choose to register for. But just to graduate in 4 years, we do encourage you to take about 30 credit hours per year. In a semester school, of course, this would be 15 credit hours per semester. For a quarter system school, it's about 45 credits per year, so that you can always remain on track to graduate on time. To give you an idea of a curriculum, this is, you know, the way we've divided it here, it's close to what a liberal arts education might provide, right? So you have your general education courses, which is 1/3 of your degree. You have 1/3, which is your major courses, and then 1/3 of electives, which can also be, you know, part of a double of your second major or a minor certificate program. But if we go to the next slide, it might be easier to explain that particular, you know, the composition of a degree. Hopefully you can see it, but I'll just give you a brief rundown. You know, here, of course, this is a chemical engineering degree plan. And so you can see kind of the 4 years laid out here, but definitely a lot of, you know, chemistry and engineering courses, of course. That would be the 1/3 of your major courses, but you'll also see at the bottom of most semesters, you'll see like social science elective or fine arts or different programs like that. That's what we call the general education requirements, on top of, you know, writing and composition and, you know, other math programs that you might have to take based on different fields. So I think the main goal of this is to not only make you an expert in the field that you want to go into as a career, but also just make you a well-rounded student with knowledge in various areas and disciplines. And this is where the general education comes in. You know, it's provides you just a lot of knowledge in different things, but also just keeps building up on the main thing that you want to do as a career. So we'll be happy to answer more questions about this, but I'll go ahead and move on to the next topic in our presentation.
Sorry about that. Having some issues with the mute button today as I'm trying to run everything. So we're going to dive in a little bit now. That was a lot of like really critical information that you will eventually work with and an advisor here on campus. And so the main thing that we really wanted to talk to you about today is the fact that you will have that general area of study that you're really going to focus on, but you also have lots of different opportunities to explore. And I think sometimes students get really stressed out about how do I pick that exact major and where it's going to lead me to a job and a career. And we're here to tell you today that you can major in lots of different things and you can pick lots of different areas of studies, and it will eventually potentially get you to a career that you thought you wanted, or maybe something you've never even heard of before, but that's really a passion for you and something that you want to pursue later on in life. So some things to think about for how to actually go about picking a major. We first encourage you to start with yourself. So really take the time to self-reflect. What is something that really excites you? What is something that motivates you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you really enjoy reading more about, watching documentaries, movies, etc.? Topics that you can really dive into and feel passionate about, that you will want to explore and take classes on and dive into while you're in college. What are your interests? And kind of in alignment with that, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So what are, when you're sitting in your classes in high school, what are those topics that you really, really enjoy? Do you really like history? Do you prefer math and science, etc.? What do you think you would be something that you want to pursue later on based on what your strengths and weaknesses are? In college, you're going to take a set number of classes that'll eventually lead to a professional experience. And of course, students have all kinds of things in mind for that professional experience, what they want to achieve from it, but it should also be something that you enjoy, because you'll be spending, as Lorenzo said, a considerable amount of time taking classes in those areas. So you do want to enjoy it. What challenges you? What are your goals for later in life? This is something, just sit down, write stuff out, take out a journal, and think about it as you go through high school, how it may change, how it may develop. You might find that you have lots of different areas that interest you and kind of all different aspects that you wouldn't think would be connected. But when you really get down to it, you might find that there's kind of a golden thread that goes through all of your interests for what really draws you in. Also, it's helpful to talk to other people, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your high school counselors, your teachers that you work with in your high school. And also you will have advisors on campus and us as admissions counselors that you can always talk to for more guidance. I think it's also awesome too that you can do throughout high school. You'll find online that there are lots of different kind of like personality tests or career assessments that you can take. I encourage you to check those out and just kind of get a sense if you feel like you have lots of different interests. Often they can kind of guide you to a specific kind of profession that aligns with your strengths and your weaknesses and your interests. Know that, as Lorenzo said, this is not something that you need to have figured out right away. I talk to lots of students who think that they're interested in business and engineering, and they also like psychology. But when they get down to it, they're like, I just want to help people. And there are lots of different ways that you can take classes and have majors that lead to careers where you help people, for example. But know that before you start university websites are a great place to check out. Go onto like any of our universities. We have lots and lots of majors listed. Go through that list of majors, kind of get a sense of what interests you, dig through some of the classes that you'll take and see if they sound interesting to you. If you find that you thought that you wanted to major in engineering, but none of those chemistry classes sound interesting to you, there might be something else that you can major in that will still eventually lead you on that path. And university websites and the specific majors and departments have tons and tons of information about careers, companies, employees, different kind of advising and different things happening at universities that align with their academic departments. You'll also have orientation. So when you're admitted to a university and you choose to attend there, you will have orientation before you become a student on campus, where you'll meet with advisors who will talk about your different interests, what your goals are, and they can also help kind of set you on a path and narrow down your interests. While you're at the university, you'll have an academic advisor. All students in pretty much every institution here in the US has an academic advisor who will help you, again, sift through classes that are required that you have to take, as well as diving into some areas that you might want to explore more, the electives that you're interested in. And they're a really great resource as you go through college to kind of really get a better sense of what's offered at the institution and what you can get involved in. You'll also have access to lots of majors and career fairs. So again, places where you can go and talk to faculty members or people who actually work for companies to get a sense of whether or not that specific career or major aligns with what you're passionate about and what you hope to do someday. In line with that, many of our institutions will have career centers and career advisors or career services offices. Again, a great place to go in. You can hit them up for information about your resume and cover letter, but they can also kind of go through different recruiters that might come to campus, different ways to get involved in internships and jobs, volunteer work, and as well as networking with alumni. Faculty members are a great resource, similar to an academic advisor or a career advisor. They're working directly in the field that might be of interest to you at the institution. And so they're a great person to talk to as well. And then of course, student life on the campus, you'll have access to tons of different student organizations, activities, and events, different ways to kind of connect what you're studying with something outside of the classroom that you might be passionate about. And know that, as Lorenzo said, if you decide you want to change your path, because of the liberal arts education at many US institutions, there is an inherent flexibility in many degree programs. I know students who have changed their major 5, 6, 7 times, and that happens, and that's okay, and you can still graduate on time. That flexibility is built in as part of the major core requirements, the general electives that you'll be taking. And Lorenzo already kind of touched on double majoring and adding a minor certificate. So again, you might have lots of different interests, and double majoring or adding those minors or certificates are a great way to kind of add that additional area on that you're passionate about in addition to your major.
Great, so I'm going to take over now and talk a little bit about some tips about what you can do now. So whether you are the type of student who knows exactly what you want to do with your life, or the type of student who has no idea at this point, both things are okay. And in both situations, there are things that you can do now to really begin exploring all these different endless opportunities that are available. Sam already touched on some of these, but I wanted to use an example to kind of illustrate or highlight how you can go about this process. One of the programs that I sometimes get asked about is video game design, or being involved in some capacity with the video game industry. And while that's a great path, and certainly that's something that you can certainly study, there's also something to be aware of, that there's different majors you can do to study that same thing. So for example, sometimes the obvious choice for this would be something like in computer science. But if you're interested in, say, the language side of the game, maybe that's more computational linguistics. Or maybe you're interested in designing the actual landscape of the game, in which case it could be interior design with more of a digital emphasis. Or perhaps you're interested in developing the narrative of a game, in which case it could be something more like digital storytelling. So this is just one example to show that you can have an interest in one area and then use that to explore all the different aspects of that industry or of that particular interest that you have and see what majors relate to that, because you will find that there are more than one area of study that can lead you to your ultimate career path. And I think that's one of the benefits of attending a large research university like those represented here, because you'll find that there are a lot of different options for you to gain experience and to kind of specialize or find that path towards your true passion. So Sam mentioned a couple of these already, but one of those that you can really dig into that she mentioned is university websites. And as she talked about, there are really good resources here where you can dig into the major, you can look up the specific courses you would take. A few things else I wanted to highlight about this is a lot of times those websites will also have information about different career paths that those majors can go into. Different department sites might have opportunities for you to connect with current students in that program or to connect with that department itself. Especially nowadays, now that we've all been doing virtual, I know at our institutions, many of them are having different academic showcases and opportunities for you to connect with academic departments to learn more in depth about the curricula. So this is again great for those of you who are just exploring or those of you who really wanted to take a deep dive into specific programs to see if they're a good fit for what your specific interest might be. At some high schools, you will also find opportunities to take different coursework or workshops to explore your different areas of study and see how that connects to an academic major and ultimately to a career path. So we encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities to really participate in that exploration phase and to keep an open mind through that process, because you might have a very specific idea of what you want to study, but along the way, you might find something else that is your true passion or maybe a different thing that you can do to supplement your overall degree plan. And this is something that will tie into how you go about the university search process. Sam also did mention connecting with other people throughout this process, kind of going beyond yourself to connect with other people who maybe have studied something similar, whether that be current students or people in your life who you might know who do different career paths. And this is just something that's really taking advantage of the network and resources available to you. So this can be something very informal, like a conversation that you might have with someone who does something that you think is interesting, or it might be more of a formal job shadowing type opportunity. So take advantage of those opportunities, take advantage of those conversations to explore all those different paths that might be of interest. Go on to the next slide. There we go. On this page, this is one that's like one of my favorite graphics to show. For some reason, it really resonates with me personally. And what this is on the left-hand side, and you will see a list of different academic programs. This happens to be a chart that we do every year for our graduating seniors. And so on the left hand are the different academic categories or programs that our students study. On the right hand are the different industries that they end up working in. So as you see, it varies, right? There's different colors going to different fields and industries. And this is one of the great things about U.S. higher education experience is that your specific degree program can prepare you to work in a very specific industry, but it can also prepare you to work in any number of fields and industries. So for example, of course, with things like nursing, a lot of people in nursing end up going into a healthcare services field, but some go into work for nonprofits, for example. And so when you have experiences throughout the university, both in the curriculum by taking general education courses and also engaging in different extracurricular experiences, these are the types of things that expose you to different industries that help you to prepare to work in any number of fields. So this gives you some flexibility. And why I think this is important to know now is because certainly choosing your major is important and it does set you on a particular path. But it's also important to know that you're not necessarily stuck in one particular thing, even if you choose a very specific major. A lot of people will choose a major and then work in a different industry that they might not be aware of that they're prepared to work in. So I think it's good to know that with the U.S. higher education experience, you have this flexibility, you have this exposure to work in a lot of different industries and fields. With that, I'll pass it on to Sarah.
Thank you. So how do we find the right fit? How do students find the right fit? To the next slide, if we look at the higher education in the US, we have over 4,000 institutions that students can pick from. And so a lot of it is going to require that you do some research and looking things up, but there's quite a bit of variety when it comes to location, size, type of institution. Cost is a really big thing that I've been talking to all of my students about recently. Academic and extracurricular opportunities. When you are looking into these 4,000 plus universities in the United States, you have the opportunity to look at each of these qualities and characteristics and see if you're finding what you like. And then you'll be able to make a pretty short list of the schools that really are a good fit. So some things to consider, many of our universities offer similar majors. And so that one is a very quick way to look at some similarities between universities. And then different terminology for similar areas of study. One really great example of this is I had a student talk to me about criminology. She really wanted to pursue criminology or sociology, but depending on which department she was looking for, criminology was under sociology, or there were completely separate departments for criminology. And so those are just some of the distinctions that you'll be able to look for. But if you can't find something under one keyword, my big recommendation is to kind of expand the keyword search that you're looking for. And there are many majors that have similar coursework across the board. And so you'll be able to sometimes see some of those 4-year course selection spreadsheets and sheets that we have for our students in determining the next 4 years that they're going to be looking at. So there's a lot for you out there to research and take a look at and keep in mind when you're looking for the right fit. Next slide, please. So what is fit? We keep talking about fit. And fit is just an institution that matches your needs, your aptitudes, your values, your goals. Again, finances right now is a really, really big thing that we talk about in the fit conversation. It really is just what is the right match for you. And truly, there are going to be multiple good matches for you. We tell our students that you're going to have many, many good matches. There's going to be really, really good fits. Wherever you go, we know that students are going to have the ability to be successful though. So don't carry too much of that like fit weight and responsibility on you. You're going to make a good decision.
Yeah, so next I'm going to talk a little bit about researching institutions. And like Sarah alluded to, there's going to be a lot of different qualities to look into as you kind of explore your different options university-wise. And that, of course, is going to include academic qualities and the sort of experiences that you can have inside of the classroom on that university campus. And you might want to start with an institution's mission and vision statement. And this mission and vision statement are really designed to kind of paint a picture of that university's institutional priorities, and also maybe what the campus culture might look like on that campus. And so it might be an important thing to look at to kind of figure out for yourself whether or not your mission and vision kind of aligns with maybe what that university has in mind for mission and vision. And it's also, of course, important to look at the variety of academic programs that are on that campus and what the institution does offer academically. Do they offer the specific academic program that you're interested in, or do they even offer a wide variety of options, especially if maybe you are a student that's still exploring what major you might want to kind of sign on for when you enter an institution? It might be a good idea to look for an institution that offers a pretty wide variety of academic programs so that you can kind of move around and take courses in a lot of different areas before you settle on the final academic program or final degree program that you're going to study. You might also look at flexibility. So within an academic structure and within an academic program, are you going to have the ability to take electives, or are you going to have the ability to double major or major minor like Lorenzo talked about, or pick up a certificate or something like that during your time in the program? If you are looking for a more flexible program and you want a double major or major minor or things like that, then you want to look for an institution that kind of has that academic offering available to you. Another important consideration, of course, is going to be how accessible is the faculty to you as a student on that campus, because they do offer students, a lot of support. They're kind of the foundation of what your learning is going to be at that institution. So you want to make sure that the faculty is going to be available to you, whether that's through office hours or through their instructional style, or even through maybe having smaller class sizes. That's something to explore as well, especially if you're coming from a school where you currently have smaller class sizes or it's a smaller school environment, you might want to look for an institution that gives you the opportunity to also be in a small classroom environment as well to ensure your own academic success. And then, of course, you'll want to explore the type of academic support services that are available on that campus. Things like an honors program or first-year interest groups or things like that will really act as a foundation for you as a new student coming onto that campus to ensure that you can be academically successful, especially in your first year. Kind of creating an environment where we can foster your success is going to be really important for institutions. And so groups really kind of help build that community that you're looking for when you come onto a college campus and kind of foster that academic success for you as a student. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is also going to be that personal and lived experience. So on this next slide, you're going to see that there are a lot of different outside of the classroom activities and considerations to be made as far as what your life on that campus is going to look like for the next 4 years. And so it's important to remember that you're not just coming to an institution to study and earn a degree, but you're also going to be living there for 4 years as an actual person. You're going to be within that community, interacting with others, building a life for yourself, hopefully getting involved. So you also want to look at what the experiences outside of the classroom look like. And from an academic standpoint, those things are going to include things like residence life. So what does residence life look like on the campus as far as where you're living? Are you able to live off campus your first year, or do you have to live on campus, or during your entire time are you required to live on campus? That's an important consideration depending on what sort of lifestyle you want to have and where you want to live. Also, many institutions have things called living learning communities, which I think are a great opportunity to kind of find your place and find your way on a campus. And those living learning communities are groups of residence halls or a singular residence hall where they're designed to kind of put students together that have a similar or the same academic focus or interest, or even a similar or the same social interest or focus or passion. And so those communities kind of put our students together and allow them to really grow with one another in that particular area. So that's a great way to kind of build that natural community on a college campus. You might want to look at residence life from that viewpoint, but also you could look at things like student organization. So what's available on the campus for you to get involved in? How many student activities are there? Is there a robotics team if you're really interested in robotics? Is there a dance club if you're really interested in dance? How are you able to continue to pursue the passions and the interests that you personally have had your entire life once you move on to this campus? A big part of success is going to, of course, be happiness. And so we want you guys to be able to come onto the college campus and still really explore everything and do everything that you've been doing that's made you happy before you've arrived, once you have arrived with us. Of course, we're also going to be thinking about the location and community that surrounds that campus or that university. And so, you know, our institutions are located all across the US. Some are located in more suburban environments. Some are located in more urban environments. Some schools are in the Pacific Northwest. Some are in the South, like mine. And so you get a very wide variety of locations, and that leads to a really wide variety of activities and resources and opportunities. So it is important to look at what you think you might want to have as far as activities and resources are available to you, or even climate or location, and then consider where that institution kind of fits into that picture. Is it in a cold weather climate, a warm weather climate? Is it an urban environment because you like the big city, or is it in a smaller town with a higher sense of community? Those are the sorts of factors that you want to consider when you're researching whether or not these institutions kind of align with what your expectations are for your college experience. And then, of course, you're going to also want to think about what's going to happen once you're prepared to leave the institution. So at some point, you are going to decide, hey, I finished my degree, I'm going to go out into the world and secure a career, secure a job. And the institution is really designed to kind of prepare you for that. So you want to look at the sorts of career services that they have available to you on the campus, whether or not they're willing to work with you one-on-one or within a group setting to ensure that you have an excellent resume and the interview skills to be successful once you leave, what sorts of connections or networking opportunities that institution might be able to provide you with once you're ready to make your exit. And of course, also the alumni network is going to be huge. So our institutions, being large public institutions, typically have pretty strong alumni networks. And our alumni want to recruit students that have attended our institution because they understand the value that we offer to our students educationally, and how well prepared they are to enter those particular industries. So you also want to look at that when you're thinking about kind of making that exit away from the institution out into the particular career field that you're going to be entering into. So the last thing I want to talk about is going to be some final tips for you kind of as you navigate through this college search process. And I want to reassure you that, there are going to be more than just one good fit for you. There's never going to be that really perfect institution that kind of matches with everything that you desire. You're probably going to find a lot of different institutions that have a lot to offer you and that really do align with what your expectations are. And so I encourage you to kind of make a list of what's most important to you, and then come up with a list of institutions that kind of align with that and work from that place. You can definitely plan ahead and start doing your research now. It's really kind of never too early to kind of start exploring all of your options since there's so much to explore. But I also don't want you to get bogged down in the nitty-gritty details. Like I said, there isn't going to be one specific perfect kind of institution for you. So don't, go out trying to seek that out and really paying attention to each and every single tiny detail. Really just think about the main things that are truly important to you in your college experience. And also definitely keep an open mind and consider a very wide range of institutions. There are so many institutions in the US that have so many different things to offer you. You don't want to think like, oh, well, all of my friends are applying to these schools, so I'm going to apply to these schools. You're all very different, unique people. So kind of really definitely do that self-reflection work and then figure out kind of what that group of institutions that suit you might look like. And also be aware of terminology. Like it was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different kinds of terminology and phrases that we use here in the US at our institutions that you might be unfamiliar with. So please be sure to reach out to us or to your school counselor if you have any questions, or maybe even Education USA, if you have any questions whatsoever about kind of navigating our institutional processes or any of the terminology that we might use. We want to make sure that we're providing you with all of the resources that you need to kind of be successful as you move through the college search process. And lastly, of course, is going to be keep an open mind. And I know we've said this a few times, and I've said it a few times, but there is so much to look at, so much to consider, small schools, large schools. It's important to really keep an open mind and have those conversations with others about what your interests are and who you are and what their experiences have been. So you can kind of narrow down that fit for yourself and find something that's truly representative of where you're going to be most happy and most successful academically. And now the next thing I want to do is we're going to move into some of our university introductions. And I'm going to kick it off representing the University of Florida and talk a little bit about my institution. The University of Florida is the oldest school within the state of Florida, and it's also one of the largest. We have a student population of a little over 50,000 students, about 35,000 of which that are undergraduate students. And they represent every single county in the state of Florida, every single state in the US, and about 131 countries across the globe. So they really are a very diverse group of individuals who all share this common goal of getting the best education that they possibly can right here in Gainesville with us. And Gainesville, Florida is located in North Central Florida. It's about 2 hours north of Orlando, 2 hours south of Jacksonville, and kind of directly smack dab in the middle of the state. And it's really well known for its beautiful freshwater springs. We have manatees around here. We have wild horses. It's absolutely beautiful naturally. Our students really enjoy the outdoors. We have 280 days of sunshine here in Gainesville. So they go out hiking and swimming and biking, and that's a big part of life here in Florida. And Gainesville is also really well known for its arts and music culture as well. We have several museums here on our campus, several theaters throughout the city. So it's a great place to just come and live And it's a very relaxing environment, I would say, which is my favorite quality about this particular area. And the University of Florida offers a really wide range of academic options for our students, with over 100 undergraduate programs and over 200 graduate programs. We also have all of the professional course offerings, which is really rare for an institution, meaning we do have a med school, law school, pharmacy, physical therapy, nursing, dentistry, and a vet school as well, which is, there's not many vet schools in the US, and we have that here on our campus. So we're very excited to have students that choose to continue their education with us, all the way from their bachelor's degree, all the way through maybe a master's or PhD program here with us. Some of our more popular academic areas are going to be things like business, engineering, anything health related as well. We do have a teaching hospital on our campus that's very popular as well. And then also the arts. Our dance and music programs are excellent, and our students do tend to combine things. So one of our most popular programs is going to be our medicine and arts program. And those students are excellent. They work with our COVID patients, doing art projects and things like that. So that's an excellent program to be a part of as well. And then we do offer over 1,000 student organizations to get involved in everything from our skydiving club to our mock trial team. We have something for everyone here on our campus. So hopefully in the future, you guys will at some point get the opportunity to visit our campus. But in the meanwhile, I encourage you to stay connected with me. You can stay connected with us as an office through our social media, and also check out our virtual tour at some point. Our campus is beautiful, and I would love to see you guys here one day. And I'll go ahead and pass it along.
Hello again. My name once again is Shannon O'Hagan, and I represent the University of Missouri, which is commonly called by our nickname Mizzou. We are located centrally in the US. We are in the state of Missouri, and we're located centrally within the state in the city of Columbia, which is another great college town represented here today. Something great about studying in Columbia is that there's a really strong connection that our students have to our community. So there's tons of opportunities to get involved in the community. Our campus is connected to our cute little downtown area, so it's very accessible, easy to get around. And there's also a lot going on within our town and within our community. Just last night, we wrapped up our annual documentary film festival called True False, which brought international films to our community, great documentarians visiting. Something I personally enjoyed. I was a pass holder and got to attend multiple films happening. And it's something that is just a really neat signature event that happens each year. And it's something that students can get involved in to volunteer with, or even to submit their own documentary films. So one example of the arts community that we have in Columbia, that's something that we certainly enjoy, as well as a nice connection to nature. So we have lots of nature trails and parks throughout our campus and our community. In fact, the documentary film festival I mentioned was hosted this year in one of our great, beautiful parks as an outdoor event due to COVID that made for a really nice setting and a great way to have people outdoors and enjoying the lovely weather. So academically at Mizzou, we have about 300 degree programs from bachelor's through PhD that our students can choose from. Our student body includes 30,000 students, so a fairly large institution with students representing more than 100 countries. So it's a strong international student population on our campus. And our students are very involved in the university experience. We have tons of opportunities for students to really get the most out of your degree program. If you're thinking about when you study at university, when you graduate from the institution, where you study and what you study is only going to take up a couple lines on your resume or CV. So a lot of what you're going to fill that in with are the types of experiences you have at the institution. So that's something that we take seriously at Mizzou. Our entire approach to learning is called the Missouri Method, and it means learning by doing. So you'll have tons of opportunities for research, internships, student competition groups, entrepreneurial projects, and things like student organizations where you can develop leadership skills. So we do think that's an important part of the US university experience, certainly an important part of the Mizzou experience. As far as programs we're most well known for, the top of our list would be journalism. It's one of our claims to fame because we have a really great journalism program. And so that includes all your traditional print and broadcast journalism, as well as emerging fields in areas like strategic communication and advertising. Other programs that we're strong in would be STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, as well as programs in business and entrepreneurship. Those are just a few of them, but as we mentioned throughout this presentation, encourage you to go on our majors website and really explore all the different options students pursue, whether that be in interdisciplinary areas or a particular major that is of interest to you. So I do encourage you to check out Mizzou. And the last thing I want to let you know is that we do have international student ambassadors. These are current students on our campus who represent different programs, different countries. And so it's a really great way to learn more about Mizzou and our really vibrant student life experience. So if you're interested in connecting with our ambassadors, get in touch with me and I will be happy to send you more information. With that, I'll pass it along to Sam.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shannon. As a reminder, again, my name is Sam. I'm an admissions counselor with the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We are located about 2 hours north of the city of Chicago in the upper Midwestern part of the United States. The city of Madison itself is the capital of the state of Wisconsin. It's home to about 250,000 residents. And as you can kind of see in this photo here, the university itself is located right downtown in the middle of the city. Kind of the foreground front kind of part of the photo there is mostly the institution, but we flow right into the state capitol located right downtown. So if you're looking for kind of that cosmopolitan feel, lots of different opportunities in the city. We're also a college town and things are happening all the time. That's great. We have that here, but we're also one of 2 cities in the US located on an isthmus, which means we're surrounded by 2 lakes. We have hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails. You can kind of get the best of both worlds here at UW-Madison. We are a large public research institution. Kind of the guiding principle of our university is the Wisconsin idea. And that basically means that we believe the benefits of an education should expand beyond the classrooms. We really want our students to take what they're learning here in their classes and go out into the world and get that hands-on experience and make the world a better place. So this has led our university to a number of firsts, including the discovery of vitamin A and vitamin B. We're a top producer of Fortune 500 CEOs, and we were the first university in the nation to create an undergraduate dance program. So it really expands across all majors here on campus. It means that you'll have lots of opportunities for interdisciplinary study, research, of course, whether it's in one of our 114 research centers on campus or in our specific undergraduate research scholars program. Lots of opportunities for double majoring. We have 125 majors and 70 certificate programs across 8 schools and colleges. So we're probably best well known for our engineering and business programs, but we also have great biological science and STEM programs here on campus. The University of Wisconsin Hospital is located right nearby for volunteer experiences for students who are interested in the medical fields, and then top degree programs in political science, psychology, social sciences, and languages as well. So as I mentioned, lots of opportunities for hands-on experience as part of your academic degree programs with that Wisconsin idea. And then the student life as well, 1,000 different student organizations, tons of interest-based groups like the Badger Ballroom Dancing Team, Fantasy Sports and Finance, and our Badger Cheese Club, because we're located in the dairy state here in the US. So lots of opportunities to eat cheese. We even have a lactose intolerant club. So, you know, we're really hitting all interests here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And once you graduate, you will be part of our living alumni, 440,000 all across the world. Really influential, lots of opportunities for networking with your fellow Badgers. So with that, I'll pass it over to Sarah to talk briefly about the University of Colorado-Boulder.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Kim, and as Sam mentioned, I'm with the University of Colorado-Boulder. And Boulder is located in the Rocky Mountains, and so we are really in love with where we live. We have 12 mountain resorts less than 2 hours away, and we have 300 days of sunshine. We are just 30 minutes away from the big metropolitan city of Denver. And so in addition to having this really quaint, beautiful campus where our students can study, they also have a big city just 30 minutes away where we have internships and career opportunities, the arts, you know, professional sporting events, all of that. We truly love living in Colorado. And at Boulder, we tell our students, you know, be bolder. And of course, that is a pun that we use, but we want our students to be bolder in their decisions, in what they're pursuing, their passions, their careers. We want them to be bolder. And we have 7 different colleges and programs where our students can study. Just to list a couple, we have the College of Arts and Sciences, where we have 5 Nobel Prize winners, 4 in physics and 1 in chemistry. And so those are some of the top undergraduate and graduate programs that you can study on our campus. We also have our really well-known College of Engineering and Applied Science. Fun fact about that college is we have 20 grads that went on to be astronauts with NASA, including Kalpana Chawla, who is my personal hero, the first Indian woman to go up into space. And so aerospace engineering happens to be one of our top majors, as well as computer science, mechanical engineering, and biomedical engineering. So those are just a couple of the well-known majors in the College of Engineering. We also have a lead school of business for all of our students who are interested in management, finance, accounting, real estate, and entrepreneurship. That would be a really great place for you to start off. A fun program perk for the lead school of business is that we have something called the first year student exchange. And for all first year business students, they have the opportunity during spring break to go abroad in Switzerland and Italy, for example. Italy is the top choice because our students got to go to Ferrari, they got to go to the top fashion houses, and they were able to learn how the businesses were run, these global businesses, and speaking to, CEOs and VPs all the way down to folks who are running the lines and managing production. And so that was a really great opportunity for our students in the lead school of business. We also have journalism, communication. We have a school of music. We have a program in environmental design, which is for our students who are interested in architecture, and so much more. We have over 100 different majors, minors, and certificates that our students can pursue. And of course, something that we are all known for here on the call is undergraduate research. And so those undergraduate research opportunities are definitely plentiful on our campus. And our students have the opportunity to leave our campus with hands-on experience, whether that's with internships or with that research. And then another fun fact is that we do also have Division I sports. The one that we're probably best known for is skiing. We are national champions quite a bit when it comes to skiing. And for the Korean Olympics, we actually sent 4 students to Korea, and they each represented different countries. And so that was really fun to see. And of course, we have all of the other sports like American basketball, American football, and some other really great sports and activities that our students can be a part of. So with that, I will hand it over to my colleague.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. And hi again, everyone. Lorenzo here. I'll close it out with just some information about the University of Oregon. So again, we are located in the state of Oregon, which is north of California and south of the state of Washington. So we're kind of like in the middle of the Pacific Northwest. So we're right on the West Coast here. The city of Eugene has actually been named the #1 green city in the US. As you can see through this picture, it is very green. That is something that we're known for. We're known for, sustainability, for the environment, for recycling, green spaces, and things like that. And the outdoors is definitely a big part of our just campus experience, I would say. So if you like, rivers, if you like hiking, if you like, running trails, whatever it might be, this is definitely a good city that provides that. We're about 1 hour away from the ocean to one side and 1 hour away from the Cascade Mountains on the other side. So it's definitely a really dynamic landscape to be in. Now, we're also very accessible to big cities on the West Coast like Seattle, Portland, or San Francisco as well. So again, that's kind of where we are at. And when it comes to student composition, we have around 23,000 students. About 19,000 of them are at the undergraduate level. And we have around 240 total academic programs, but about 170 undergraduate programs that we offer here on campus. I would say some of our most popular programs would be business administration, sports business specifically. We also have the only public law school in the state of Oregon, if you're interested in criminal justice or international law. We're also known for architecture and for marine biology specifically as well, and many more programs like that, like journalism and psychology and education. We do focus a lot on research. One of our, I think biggest research opportunities that we offer is through the marine biology program. I think a lot of students gravitate towards our submarine that we have as a resource for them over at the coast if they want to do underwater research. But also, when it comes to medicine and programs like that, we have a teaching hospital right next door where you could get practical experience. For journalism, TV stations and radio stations on campus, and many different opportunities like that. So again, that's just some brief information about the U of O. And I think at this point, we'd like to open it up for questions to see if there are any questions that you might have. Feel free to put them on the chat or unmute if you feel comfortable. But yeah, I'll say, thank you, first of all, for joining us, but we'll be happy to take questions at this time.
I see there is one in there, and it says, is there a maximum number of credits that an international student can take in one semester? So when you're thinking about credits at a U.S. higher education institution, at least at the undergraduate level, most of the time students that are considered full-time students are taking 12 to 18 credits, with 18 usually being the max. Now, keep in mind that if you come to the US on a student visa, typically an F1 student visa, for example, you typically have to maintain that full-time student status. And so again, that 12 to 18 credits is usually where students will land. And we don't really encourage you to go over that 18 because once you get to 18 credits, if you're thinking that most classes are 3 to 4 credits, that's when you start to be into like 5, 6 classes a semester, which can be a lot. So I would say 18 is usually that max.
Pessoal, reforçando, se alguém quiser fazer uma pergunta em português, tiver vergonha, tiver um pouco tímido, pode escrever pergunta em português ou abrir o microfone, eu ajudo vocês, tá? Just a reminder that I can translate to them if they need to.
Oi, posso falar? Estão me ouvindo?
Sim, Beatriz.
Quem
Sim, estamos ouvindo.
Eu posso perguntar em português?
Pode, claro.
Eu vi que a Oregon tem um programa de trabalho e estudo. Eu queria saber se as outras universidades também têm. Eu pesquisei mais sobre a Oregon mesmo, por isso que eu estou falando, para alunos internacionais.
Tá, vou perguntar. Beatriz is asking about work study opportunity for international students. She checked at Oregon, University of Oregon, and she saw one there, and she would like to hear from you guys if there are other opportunities as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I can answer this one. So work study is specifically going to be offered through financial aid, and our federal financial aid is typically only going to be offered to US citizens. However, on your F1 visa, as Sam mentioned, there are some provisions and things like that that are offered and resources offered through being an F1 visa student. On your F1 visa, students can work up to 20 hours a week. And so that is something that students will be able to definitely take advantage of, and those can be on-campus jobs. They can also be off-campus jobs and internships. So on your student visa, you will be allowed to work up to 20 hours a week. And that is a really great resource, an opportunity for all of our students.
Right, thank you.
I have a question.
Só um minutinho, Isabelle, só um minutinho. Beatriz, você entendeu? Tá tudo certinho?
Entendi sim.
São 20 horas por semana que um aluno internacional pode trabalhar com visto de F1 e você pode trabalhar no campus ou fora do campus. Vai depender da instituição, tá?
Certo. Eu entendi que ela passou as horas.
Então tá bom. Obrigada.
Obrigada,
Isabelle. You can ask now. Thank you. I was just checking if everything was okay with Beatriz. Thank you.
In the journalism major, what do you value the most for someone to be accepted in the college and to receive a scholarship?
I'm happy to kick this one off. You will see that, it's going to vary from one university to another in terms of what those minimum requirements might be or what type of review process the institution does. So for example, at my university, we don't require like a portfolio or past records. So it's really based on the academic requirements you've done in high school. Other programs might be looking for other more specific details or backgrounds that might be required for a particular student or a writing sample. So that's something that as you're exploring different universities, you'll just want to look into that to see what those particular programs might require, whether they have minimum standards, and whether that you would qualify for what that is. In terms of scholarships, of course, that's also going to vary from one university to another. A lot of our universities offer merit-based awards, so looking at the academic profile that you have, your application materials you've submitted for admission. In some cases, like in the case of Mizzou, there are also sometimes departmental scholarships that might be you might be eligible for as well, where the academic department might require a supplemental materials. They might be able to do it based on your academic records. Again, varies by institution, in which case they might be able to offer an additional scholarship beyond kind of the standard scholarships that admissions offices are able to provide. So you will find a lot of variety from institution to another. I'm sure each of us could probably drop a link into the chat with our particular programs if you wanted to explore some of those specific details.
I do see we're seeing a couple of questions in here about scholarships just in general, one for undergraduate students and international students and one for graduate students. So just keep in mind that all of us here today primarily represent undergraduate admissions, but all of our institutions offer graduate degrees. And funding for graduate students can vary quite differently depending on the institution and your program of study. And so in cases for students who are interested in graduate degree scholarships, you're really going to have to dive into the specific programs that you're interested in applying to and the institutions they're at, because there's lots of different ways that you can get funding and scholarships as a graduate student, but it's really quite individualized. And then I think we can all throw our links in about scholarships in the chat. And I see one other question here about the biology major at each of our institutions, which we all have biology majors. I will just say first and foremost, at UW-Madison, biology is right now the #1 most popular major on campus. So we have a great biology program and lots of opportunities for research and stuff there. But I think that's also one too, just given time that I think we can all throw our links in. But if any of you all want to share anything about scholarships or anything related to biology, any of these other things that I've kind of touched on, I'll give you time to hop in right now.
I can touch on biology really quickly. I feel like biology is one of those majors where it is one of those liberal arts and sciences majors that can take you anywhere. Which is wonderful, kind of like what Shannon talked about in the presentation with all the different career paths that you can get out of a major. And sometimes you'll even find, like at my school, for instance, we have 2 different biologies under 2 different separate colleges where the focus is different depending on the college that you're under. So if you are looking for a major like that, it is important to, again, look at the actual details for the major and maybe the course plan to get an idea of what sorts of courses that particular major is going to have underneath it, and where its graduates end up kind of going once they're ready to leave. And your advisor at the institution will talk to you about that a lot and kind of really provide you with that detailed guidance to make sure that you are kind of fulfilling your needs to ensure that you're going to be able to go out into the world and do what you want to do at the end of the day. And like we mentioned as well, we get a lot of questions about specific majors, but there's a very high chance you might change your mind at some point in this process, whether that be very soon or later on down the road once you're enrolled at an institution. I changed my major 3 times while I was here at UF as a student, and from 3 very different things before I figured out what I wanted to do. And even now I'm working in a field that's very different than what I studied, although a lot of the skills and knowledge that I took from my degree are very applicable to what I do. So there's a chance that you could change as well. So again, keep an open mind. We really want to encourage all of you guys to do that as you kind of navigate this process.
Great. So I know we're cognizant of time. We're a little bit over, but if any of you have questions, I think we are all here for a little bit more. If not, you can feel free to hop off. This is our contact information. Please feel free at any point in time to send us an email, drop us a line. We're here to help you. And we understand that the admissions process and, you know, researching higher education institutions in the US takes a lot of time and effort and can be confusing, and there's lots of different processes. Variety is the phrase of the day here. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to send us an email later on. With that, we'll let you go.
Well, thank you very much. It was a very good presentation. I'm definitely going to recommend it to my advisees. It's really good. Thank you. And thank you everyone for showing up and for asking questions. Muito obrigada, pessoal. Aqui estão os contatos deles, podem procurá-los e também podem sempre procurar o EducationUSA. Vocês encontram informações de próximos eventos no nosso site, educationusabrasil.org.br. O evento vai estar, a gravação vai estar na nossa página do YouTube, EducationUSA Brasil, e sempre será um prazer ter vocês nos nossos eventos. Muito obrigada e tenham uma ótima tarde e noite. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.